We are one day out from the Third Edict, Path of Exile 2's next patch being revealed by Grinding Gear Games, and the patch notes dropping immediately after. These are my top 10 predictions for the patch itself. Let's start with number 1. I believe we will be getting brand new skills for existing weapons. If you take a stroll through any of the existing weapon types, such as bows or maces, you will see there are a ton of coming soon skills. This would be the perfect time to drop in a bunch of new skills for people to play with in 0.3. We've all been begging for more options to scale our characters, to play our characters, and this is a great way to do it without just rehashing existing skills, which I'm pretty certain is also going to happen. Prediction number 2, a movement speed increase. I am now of the mindset that Grinding Gear Games is just going to do some sort of flat buff to movement speed, very similar to what we see in the Trial of the Sekama with the Hare's Foot boon. Maybe between a 20 and 25% increase in movement speed with no other changes otherwise. I don't think a sprint system like in Diablo 2 would work well. I would really hate it if they implemented a bunch of different mount types, and Quicksilver Flasks / Charms, I don't think those fit into Path of Exile 2 either. I think a lot of people would be very pleased with the movement speed just being increased on characters so we don't feel as sluggish, while also making a slight adjustment to monsters as well. And I'm not advocating for the game to become zoomy, I just think our characters should feel a bit quicker. Prediction number 3 is an end game shift. Whether it's towers being entirely reworked or removed, the Atlas passive skill tree getting a big overhaul, or something else occurring in the endgame that just changes up the current bad feeling and state of it, I think Grinding Gear Games is going to address something here in addition to everything else they're adding in the content patch. It is one of the biggest points of critique for many people in the community, many people who actually make it to endgame, including myself, that you just bounce too quick because the endgame feels bad. I think a few small tweaks to the way that encounters or mechanics spawn in the endgame would make it feel much smoother, and the ability to quickly fight some of the pinnacle bosses would also make it feel much better. I know they did a lot to address this in 0.2.1 and the 0.2.0 patch, but I think it still needs a little bit more. Here we are with prediction number 4, and that is multiple new Ascendancy classes. As there are existing base classes without ascendancies in the game, I believe every single release leading up to the actual launch of Path of Exile 2 will contain new ascendancy classes. And in this latest batch, I think we're going to get one for the monk, one for the huntress, one for the ranger, and one for the sorceress. Now, there have been a few leaks in what might be coming in regards to the monk and the huntress, and the monk one sounds especially exciting for me. It's something that everybody has been speculating about and asking about for quite some time in Path of Exile 2, because it honestly exists a little bit in Path of Exile 1, and that is someone who fights with their fists, a martial artist of sorts, or what you typically think of when you talk about a monk in Dungeons and Dragons. They could take inspiration from the Smith of Kitava and turn your glove slot into a hand wrap you could construct with your Ascendancy passive skill tree, taking a whole bunch of nodes that buff the damage in different ways for your auto attacks with your fists. I think that would be pretty thematic and awesome. And you know what else would be awesome? If you like, comment, and subscribe right now on this video and to this channel. It really helps me out. Thank you so much for your support. Okay, prediction number 5, and that is an existing skill rework. We have heard that Grinding Gear Games knows that a lot of the skills in the game rely on combos, and they can't scale into the end game, and they feel bad to use and to play, and that is a big problem. And they claimed a big focus of 0.3 would be addressing this, not only in terms of number tweaks, but actual animation changes, the way skills work, just a bunch of balance on existing stuff. So I really think that will make it into this patch. How will it play out? I really hope more skills feel good. I want Fangs of Frost or Fangs of Winter, the Ice Spear skill, to be legit, because I really tried to make that work in 0.2. And then I fought Jamanra Act 2 for 17 minutes straight. But I did kill him. Weaving into prediction number 5, let's go to prediction number 6, and that is a substantial passive skill tree revamp. Lots of people have expressed that the passive skill tree in Path of Exile 2 is not interesting, especially when compared to Path of Exile 1. We know that skill tree in PoE 2 is meant to help you specialize into certain things, but to be honest, a lot of the options on the tree aren't exciting, especially on the left-hand side of the tree and the top of the tree. I hope in this patch, they take some time to add some really new and interesting options to the tree, and maybe take away a few of the downsides that exist on regular notables for certain archetypes. Yeah, I'm talking about two-handed weapons. The negatives already exist in the skill gems. Why are we further debuffing characters using the passive skill tree? I do not think the power trade-off is worthwhile. We are down to the final 4 predictions, and starting with number 7, that is the addition of Abyss mixed with another League of Path of Exile's past that involves crafting of some sort. We know that we're getting a Kulamak pinnacle boss based on the teaser. We know that it has the color scheme of Abyss from Path of Exile 1. It's likely to be a revamped and hopefully improved version of Abyss that begins appearing early in Path of Exile 2 and stretches all the way to the endgame and hopefully has a robust set of systems around it. I think we'll be getting a new belt type, the Stygian belt from Path of Exile 1 that has a socket in it in which you can put special jewels or perhaps runes that you find from Abyss, much like Path of Exile 1, that have unique effects. This would add more variety to the belt slot because a lot of people, they just try to find an ingenuity and slap it on immediately. A lot of people are saying they will combine Delve with Abyss and turn this into a huge new endgame mode in which you're infinitely traveling down a dungeon and perhaps add some sort of fossil crafting into the game. Honestly, I'm not of that mindset. I think they're going to remix it with something else, as Delve is too close to the current Path of Exile 2 endgame of the infinitely expanding Atlas. I'm hoping they'll somehow work in harvest crafting with Abyss. I don't think that they'll take the monsters from harvest, but perhaps they'll add in that mid-level crafting option that has a relatively low entry fee and a relatively low floor of learning to the game. It would be a great addition. And we know we're going to get a bunch of new monster types with Abyss, and it's going to be awesome. Okay, prediction number 8, sign. That is the addition of Trial of the Ancestors as an Ascension mechanic. We currently have 2 ways to ascend into the game, the Trial of the Sekima and the Trial of Chaos. This patch, I'm almost 100% sure it will bring in the Trial of the Ancestors in a reimagined way. I don't think it's going to be an auto battler as it was in Path of Exile 1. I'm of the mindset it will be some sort of boss gauntlet where you are fighting the chieftains, and every time you kill a chieftain, you progress through the tournament, and eventually you get ascendancy points. It would be a far easier way to obtain your ascendancy points, especially if you are not a fan of the Trial of the Sekimas and how long it is, or the Trial of Chaos and how random it can be. TOTA will also come with some sort of special reward. Maybe that'll be tattoos, and this will tie into the passive skill tree revamp. Tattoos are items that allow you to overwrite attribute nodes on your passive skill tree. It would be a novel concept to add to the game, and it would allow for greater customization of that passive skill tree, which we've acknowledged is a little boring. All right, time for my final 2 predictions for the Third Edict. Number 9 is the addition of the Druid. There are a lot of leaks flying around right now that conflict. Some are saying Druid, some are saying no Druid. So you know what? All the leaks are pretty much invalid. I think that they will add the Druid. Jonathan and the team at Grinding Your Games has been pretty adamant that the very next class that they will add to Path of Exile 2 after the Huntress will be the Druid. Unless there was an absolute catastrophe, I expect to get the Druid teaser sometime today during Gamescom, or just with the big reveal tomorrow. It would make sense that they would save this sort of feature for this late in the teaser season. It is a headline feature. It doesn't just add content to the game, it adds a bunch of new ways to play. And as we talked about so much over the past 2 weeks, the best part of Path of Exile 2 is the ability to customize your character, and adding a whole new class, a set of skill gems, and ascendancy classes is the perfect way to add more character customization. Yeah, I also just want to turn into a giant bear. A lot of people are saying they'll add 2 classes. I think there is a 0% chance of that happening. I'm ready to completely eat my words though. And now prediction number 10. I think we are getting Act 4. This is 100% confirmed. It'll take place in King's March, various islands across the Karui archipelago. We're going to be hopping from place to place, fighting all sorts of bosses, encountering the Karui chieftains. Looks like allying with Sin and forming this precursor weapon. I'm super excited for Act 4, and I've seen a lot of people talking about, oh, Act 4, oh, who cares about Act 4? I just care about the endgame. I disagree. Adding a new act to the game excites a whole segment of the player base, in terms of the story it provides, in terms of the content that trickles across the game into Endgame. It's brand new bosses, brand new environments, brand new base types, okay? Lots of different stuff is coming with Act 4. It's not just new stuff to read. Now, are we getting Act 5 and Act 6? I don't think so. I will be flabbergasted if Grinding Gear Games adds Act 5 and 6. At a baseline, I think my prediction set that I've outlined here, Druid, Act 4, Trial of the Ancestors, big new endgame and all-game mechanic with Abyss. I think, along with the other things I listed, the balance changes, that's the minimum for a Path of Exile 2 win. It has been almost 5 months since the last major patch. This is the second patch of early access. I think it needs to be stuffed to the brim with content. They said they wanted to release all classes and all acts and have it in a good spot by the end of 2025. It's obviously not going to happen at this point. I do think they at least need to add some of this cool stuff in the game for us to test out and just bring players back to excite them. We've heard Jonathan say that he thinks 0.3 is going to be much bigger in terms of player numbers compared to 0.2. We've heard Darth Microtransactions say that 0.3 is bigger than 0.2. We'll see if that happens. Anything extra on top of these predictions, I think, is just extra and awesome. And I'm going to have fun with this Path of Exile 2 patch regardless. Outside of the content, I'm just excited that all of my friends, my family, they're all very excited to come back and play 0.3. As people who've watched my channel before know, my dad plays, my brother plays, my wife plays, all of my friends from my childhood that I used to game with all the time now play Path of Exile 2. So even if the patch doesn't have a massive amount of content, it's just fun to come together as my personal community and the greater Talkative Tribe community and play the game. What do you think? Are my predictions totally crazy? What extra predictions do you have for the Third Edict? Please leave them in the comments below. I'll be reading them all, be speculating all the way until the reveal tomorrow. I will also be co-streaming that, so make sure to tune into my Twitch channel or my YouTube live. And if you really want to make sure you're there, make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel, and leave a comment below. It really helps out, you guys. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you in the next video talking about the reveal, or in this video right now breaking down Act 5. It was pretty cool. As always, have fun and stay sane.